Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV once more. It is time for the Aussie Online Gaming V8 Super Series. Two fantastic rounds of the series are already in the books, and we're here for round 3 at the Red Bull Ring. This will be an absolutely high-octane night of racing in the Austrian mountains. And to bring it to you all live here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch is myself, Reese Gardner. I got Stuart Brown with me in the comms box and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. This is going to be so much fun here, Stu. A last-minute change that the drivers have requested in terms of the format for this round. We've got a reverse top 10 for race 2 now, which is just going to increase the action tenfold.
Yeah, absolutely. An exciting week. A fortnight ago, not a week ago, a fortnight ago. Exciting race then, and that reverse top 10 is really going to spice it up on this track that's not renowned for this type of racing, but we're going here tonight, and it's going to be fantastic to see what unfolds over the next hour or so, wherever you are watching on SimSpeed TV.
Indeed. Checking out the Red Bull Ring here. It's actually been around since the late 1960s. You can see traces of the old layout there across to the left. This used to be a super quick circuit, flat out almost the whole way around, formerly known as the Österreich-Ring, and then it was brought back in the late 90s as the A1 Ring with this new layout here designed by Hermann Tilke. And it chops off quite a bit of the old circuit, but I think it's become a modern classic in its own right. It's got some very challenging corners, of course, hard braking into the hairpins, slipstreaming and overtaking will be paramount, but some very difficult corners here, Stu, particularly the first and last ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Layout of curve is a fantastic part of the motorsport arena that is the Red Bull Ring. It will provide great opportunity uphill as well, so difficult braking zone for the drivers getting into that turn. Turn 3 is a great one too, and the fast flowing nature of 4 right through 8 up to Jochenrindt turn is just I think yeah, you're right, a modern classic. This track has got plenty to offer for us here tonight.
Yeah, that it has. Well, we are looking forward to the racing, of course, and this is how things look in the championship standings. Right now, Robbie Gibbs in the championship lead. He was dominant last round and the round before, for that matter, and it seems like barely anyone can overcome him at this point. But we see that Bo Albert is got a good margin in second place. Battle for third on back, though, looks very close between Flock, Capel and Jones.
Yeah, and expecting good performances from those three tonight. McNamara, of course, still in it, along with Blake Hall as well. He has been showing a little bit of pace. Matt Morris, Joe Schultz, and of course, Zach Lasblom as well. So plenty of opportunity left still in this one. Not quite halfway through the V8 Super Series here. Ash Davies, Luke Crum, Simon Chadwick, they'll all be looking to try and make a claim and make their way up. It's tight all the way back, isn't it? Look at those points there. There's hardly anything in between it.
Yeah, and of course, considering how chaotic the races have been so far, we certainly expect a lot of jostling around in those championship standings. 5 laps allowed in qualifying per driver. Qualifying currently in progress. It's past the halfway point about a minute ago. And we have 3 races here tonight, each 10 laps. It's going to be short, sharp, and fast. No pit stops required, and no strategy other than go hard or go home.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the advantages of this series, of course, was there's plenty of this type of racing done on iRacing, but I love the fact that this is all out go or woe, depending on how you go, of course, but 10-lap sprint race, and the drivers campaigning for that reverse top 10, so that really is going to spice it up for that middle race tonight, of course, before we head into the final sprint. So it's going to be a spicy one. We thought a fortnight ago was anything to go by. I think this is going to have absolutely everything.
Yeah, definitely think that too. James Scott currently on provisional pole in qualifying. We've got Cameron Jones also strutting his stuff out there for 9.5 Sim Sports, and currently P4 at the moment. Ash Davis, who had a bit of a chaotic round at Watkins Glen, is certainly looking for a little bit more here. Currently P15 in qualifying. So we'll see how the drivers go here. Robbie Gibbs currently provisional P2. Bo Albert fair way behind in terms of tenths at least from Scott and Gibbs, but again seems like the usual characters up at the front here.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of absentees as well in Flock and Capel, so that's going to have an impact on the championship standings as they were. So there is a point allocated to the driver that takes pole position here. So we'll see a change in those standings potentially, or sorry, we should see a change in the points anyhow, as we're having a look here at Ash Davis at the moment. And right on button there, Jay just brings that up on the screen there for you to have a look at. So Robbie Gibbs will pick up a couple of extras, as will Bo Albert as things stand. Going to ask the track temperature here tonight. Will that's going to be a factor as well. These cars not known for massive amounts of grip, so that's going to affect as Robbie Gibbs just I think aborts that lap. He has indeed, just drops out, looking for some space at a premium as well. 28 cars running tonight, not all out on track at the moment. We've got well and truly over half the field on the track with 3.5 minutes to go here. You see there a number of drivers on the right just trying to pull it up, just trying to make time for themselves and give themselves a little bit of a window of opportunity with that 3 minutes to go. It'll be a hard cut here tonight, so they'll have to get the lap completed within that allotted 3 minutes 20 before they miss out.
Yeah, exactly. You know, this track, we've seen it in the real world, and we've seen it in other sim racing series we've hosted here on SimSpeed TV. The slipstream, given how important it is, drivers want to be behind someone so they can catch a bit of draft down the straights, and that's why you're seeing drivers pull over to the side of the circuit and go slow on their outlaps, because they're looking for a window of clear air where they can push hard but still be behind another car so they can get the benefit of the slipstream. Look at that from Hayden Sell, meanwhile. Goes up to P3. That is fantastic. He has toppled Cameron Jones from the spot of top 9.5 car in this session.
Yeah, good job there from him. Looking up there, 31-degree track temp as well, so not too bad for racing at the moment. So, see if he can get the benefit of the draft here in the 9.54. So having a look here at the feet of Simon Mazzomo, who it's made an interesting sock choice. Certainly got some cable management to do as well, Simon. Come on, mate. You can, do a little bit better than that for us, but this is great. This is on. A couple of drivers have volunteered to jump on board, so we've got Simon there, and Dan Stevens got wearing a heart monitor for us tonight as well. Bo Albert and Hayden Sell as well. We'll have a look at throughout the evening. But good to see the footwork here. You can see the quality of the pedals as well. If you're wondering what these guys get up to, it's a fair amount of dollars in the equipment there.
Yeah, for sure. Simon Mazzomo looks like using a very nice looking pedal set there. Can't pick exactly what brand they are, but certainly helped him jump up 5 spots there Fantastic job. 4 spots actually gained from Simon Mazomo. The load cell pedal certainly helping out with that. A bit of extra control in the very heavy braking zones of this track. It's another thing we have to consider when it comes to the race is the out braking. This track has 2 hairpins and heavy braking zones all around, and pretty much every part of the circuit is a passing opportunity. But you've got to be careful how hard you push the brakes. These cars don't have ABS, as we see Sean McNamara jump up, as well as Damien Johnstone to 5th and 7th respectively. You've got to manage not just the tyres locking up, but also how you negotiate the downshifts, because you have to manually blip these cars to get them to go down a gear, and it can be very easy to lock the rear tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can imagine it would be one where if you can manage it, if you've got the equipment available to you, you would probably change bias around the track to try and make advantage of that if you could. Some drivers may be doing it if they've got the gear to do it, but it's very much a matter of trying to control that, not lock those rears, not rotate, and also not overheat the tyre as well, because that'll cost you for the remainder of the lap here. Not a long lap, of course, about 1:29 for our pole sitter as that session concludes. So plenty to manage and plenty for the drivers to consider before we get into race 1.
Indeed. Well, James Scott has taken pole position for race 1 here at the Red Bull Ring, starting alongside Evolution Racing Team's Robbie Gibbs. We've got Hayden Sell and Cameron Jones for 9.5 Sim Sports taking up the second row. 9.5 team leader Sean McNamara will start in 5th spot alongside Bo Albert. Damien Johnstone has managed to work his way up into 7th in the dying moments of the session. He will start alongside Blake Warboys in P8, and the top 10 will be rounded out by Lachlan Capel and Jordan Siberis, who's looking for a little bit more after a torrid round at Watkins Glen.
And we've got Jake Blackhall for Pure Sim Esports with Simon Chadwick next to him in another 9.5 entry, looking to make their way up the grid. They'll be fighting for that inverted top 10. Craig Schultz and Matt Morris next off row number 7. And Natasha Davis and David Coleman off 8. And the Fishy Boys getting up there. He'll be looking to make some moves. There's Chris Miller and Simon Mazomo with that lovely foot cam off the next row. Then after them, dropping back to Tim Nicol and Dan Stevens in the MF Racing entry. With Josh Schultz and Luke Crum following them up behind. Teammates getting out that row. And it's Kai Turner and Trent Gosley. Then Benjamin Siren, and we've got Chris Tomlin next to him. Plenty of teammates throughout this field. Rob Visser and Shane Newens and all the racing entry. And Pacey Clegg with Sebastian Flock. And I believe Hayden Veld off the back row. The launch here, equally important. A short run up the hill into turn 1. There it is. There's everyone we've got. Heart rate monitor, bottom right-hand corner.
But the revs are rising. And we get ready to go. That was a very quick gridding time. And there we go. That's a good start from James Scott. Also a good one from Bo Albert as well. But the second phase of the start belonging to Cameron Jones in terms of that position. Sean McNamara around the outside. Coming through the first corner. Got to be very careful not to get too far over that anti-cut curb on the exit of turn 1. That will very easily spin you around. Look at this racing back in the pack, though. We've got one of the MFR cars there. Looks to be Daniel Stevens going 3 wide with Simon Mazomo and Jai Schultz. Tim Nicol just poking out at the head of this pack as they go through the hairpin for the first time. Very clean start from the drivers. I expected there would be a big pile up out of turn 1, but that is not the case. Now, those moves are starting to be made, and we have our first contact. Matt Morris and Craig Schultz coming together there, coming into turn 4. Oi, oi, oi. That has created another bit of a crush there, and that is a pile up. Dan Stevens off the circuit. Rob Visser with heavy damage. We've got Chris Tomlin trying to sort himself out. Kai Turner with big damage, and Simon Mazomo involved in that as well. That was a disastrous run out of that corner there.
Yeah, absolutely. You predicted that was going to come, and it did. It was just a little bit further along than you expected. but plenty of damage there. It looks like everyone's managed to get their way back on a track. So despite all that damage, it's going to be James Scott across the line to complete lap 1, and no safety car, which is good in this short 10-lap race. There's drivers with plenty of work to do and some with plenty of damage, of course, as well. So a couple of cars will pull into pit lane. Guys at the front here will be set off, and that's the advantage of a better qualifying as well. You just don't get caught up in that stuff when or if it happens. As 4 or 5 drivers head into pit lane, you can see there Hayden Veld, Tom Mazzomo in with him. Looks like Daniel Stevens. That's the 654 of Craig Schultz off track as well.
He's kept going. Doesn't look like there was much damage from that contact that set all of that off. We keep an eye here on Lachlan Capel, running in P9 at the moment. He's got Jake Blackhall behind him, who's getting pressured hard by Jordan Sibaris for the last position in the top 10. That, of course, being race to pole. Looks like a very nice pack, actually, here fighting for that race to pole position. We've got Chadwick and Coleman behind, also joining them here.
Yeah, a few fast guys as well, so they'll be maybe looking for the springboard to get their way up to the front, trying to avoid some of that carnage that we saw. We're going to have a quick look at the replay here. And what you see is they get caught together down on the bottom of your screen there, and they push out onto the track. And what that does is it forces everybody else to panic and slot together. And there's just the smallest amount of contact there, but the turnaround and the push off into the gravel, affecting 5 or 6 other drivers there trying to make their way through. So there's live race control here as well throughout the series if it's the first time you're joining us. So they'll have a look at that, and I'm sure there'll be some action taken out of it, potentially post-race like we saw last time out, as Damien Johnson gets the fastest lap of the race to this point in time, a 1 minute 30.1. I think the time monitor might be a little bit out there, but yeah, he has got the fastest lap of the race as it stands.
Yeah, the draft will definitely be helping Johnstone there. Let's check out Bo Albert trying to get his way into the top 5. 6th place qualifying, and he remains in 6th for the time being, but McNamara runs wide up ahead. That's going to let Jones through on the inside and potentially give an opportunity for Albert to make his way past too, but McNamara's on the defensive. Albert has to delay his turn in a little bit of contact as well. Very well held from the 06. But that job was a lot more difficult than Bo Albert anticipated. Now, the advantage is with Jones, who actually picks up the gravel trap a little bit there through the exit of the S-bend. And what can the 9-5 duo do to try and keep Albert behind here? Because it looks like he's piling that pressure on. Got to worry about Blake Warboys in the number 63 as well. You can't see him in this camera shot, but he is right behind Bo Albert as they come across the line to begin the 4th lap here. Look at how close they all are. This could go any way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Ash Davis and Josh Schultz might have had an issue as well on their last lap, while we remain focused on this pack that continues to grow now. So Cameron Jones, he is at the head of this train. And he's just got to keep his eyes ahead here. It's really easy to make a mistake through or around this circuit. Touch on it at the top of the show, Reese, about how important it is to get these things pulled up and get them turned, particularly through 1. So he's doing a great job of it at the moment, but Bo Albert, where can he manufacture a pass? He's not close enough yet to get anywhere up under the inside either. So just having a look there, you can see those rotors glowing. As we have a look at onboard with Blake Warboys here. Oh, what a correction that is. That's a save and a half.
Yeah.
Seeking a fresh seat insert after that one.
Yeah, for sure. And that first corner at Nicky Lauda turn, it's so difficult to get the exit right there. It's a medium speed corner, but it's so sharp. And the edge of the racetrack actually comes in a little on the exit, so you've got to be very careful how you get on the throttle there, especially in these cars. They're 600 plus horsepower, and that looked like a little bit too much of a track limits violation there for Bo Albert, coming into that turn as well as out of it. They're going to have to be careful about that, because off tracks are very easy to get around here. It's obviously a Formula 1 circuit, so a lot of flat area beyond the racetrack for drivers to use if they make a mistake, but it's easy to gain an advantage, and that's why They've got to be aware of the incident limit. They can't do that too much, otherwise they'll be disqualified.
Yeah, absolutely. And that inside curbing there as well, you mentioned there's a big fat sausage curb on the inside to try and slow the car up if you take too much of it. There's equally one on the outside as well that a lot of the drivers use. So we just see here Dave Coleman, and there's one of those sausage curbs perfectly timed. Just using that or getting across that, it does slow the car up a little bit as well. These cars don't mind using a little bit of curb. Those are punishment. And he's got some damage there on the door as well, the passenger side door of the 957.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it was Matt Morris that made the pass there on Coleman, and he and Chadwick actually coming together in that hairpin. And that was perfectly timed from Matt Morris. Just hooked up the inside, put the power down, nice straight exit, and got the move done. 2 for 1.
Yeah, they're the sorts of exchanges that you like to avoid and get the benefit of, and he did very well there, as we're still seeing here Sean McNamara right behind Cameron Jones. The teammates haven't got a massive gap, but they've got enough of a gap now on Bo Albert, who has Blake Warboys all in his rearview mirror. So he'll be wanting to make sure that he doesn't lose a spot here, trying to get back up onto the bumper of the 951 as we ride on board with Blake Warboys. This will give you a really good idea of the run down to the second of the slower corners on the track. So braking zone uphill, important to get your mark right and get the car turned in, avoid that inner curb, and then get good power down out of the exit as you make another run down towards 5 and towards Rint ultimately to complete the lap.
It looks like Sebastian Flock there having a large battle with the 955 of Ash Davis on the headlight flash. Apparently Flock not too happy with the move. He's going to try and go around the outside here down at turn 3. And will he be able to hold on to it? You can maintain some good momentum through that corner on the outside, but still, the driver on the inside has the shorter line through to the next braking zone. You can stick the nose up the inside into the next left-hander, though. That's exactly what Flock does, and that is going to protect his march up this field. He has the most positions gained right now, up 14 spots after not setting a qualifying time.
He's driving very well, as you would expect from the man currently sitting third in this championship. So having a look out the back of Cameron Jones, 019, as he continues to just maintain here. He's doing a good job. 7 through this 10-lap race. And it does help that you've got his teammate behind him, but there's no question at all that McNamara will be looking for the pass if he can get it done. He's equally 5th in the championship, so he'll be wanting every point he can get.
Yeah, and remember he was, I think he was briefly behind Jones. Actually, no, he was ahead of Jones at the start of the race, but he ran wide in this very corner that they're coming up to now. So it's all about trying to minimize mistakes at the moment for McNamara. But I did see in that onboard, looking back from Jones, he absolutely clobbered the curb coming through turn 1. Which certainly wouldn't have helped his pace. Meanwhile, David Coleman on the defensive here. We've got Simon Chadwick right behind, who's looking to try and get the over-under done. Sebastian Flock, meanwhile, still remaining behind Chadwick there. And, well then, looks to me as though Coleman struggling a little bit with the attitude of his car there. I mean, these turns are very high speed, and Flock having the same kinds of issues. Once you get a little oversteer on at those speeds, very hard to overcome it. But it looks like Chadwick might just have the inside here. He has a big look there at the inside of Flock, but doesn't look like that's much of a passing opportunity.
No, not able to get it done down through Red Bull. Having a look at a replay here of Luke Crum. He just did get that curb that we were talking about, and it's unsettled the back of the car. It's looking very pedestrian, and manages to save it, but lose a couple of spots in the process. So we've only got 2 laps to go here. Just keeping an eye on that battle for 10th as well. Lachlan Capel currently 9th, Jake Blackhall 10th, with Jordan Severus in 11th. So Matt Morris as well in that battle. It's still close, really, between Capel and Blackhall. No further action from the incident on lap 1, so that's good news for some. Probably not so good news for others, but that is the way that it is, as Blackhall currently provisional pole for race 2. He said he's putting the pressure on Capel.
Yeah, it looked to me like Cable actually made a large error coming through the first of those left-handers. That's brought Blackhall right into contact with him. We'll see the exterior view of it here, just way too deep and right in the middle of the road. You want to be all the way over on the left-hand side in the middle of a corner like that, but for the time being, it seems that Capel has managed to gather it back up. The battle still goes on for 14th, meanwhile, with Sebastian Flock trying to continue his march up through the order. This is some way off the battle for 10th, but any position gained will be worth something to Sebastian here, and that's a good run out of the final corner, translates into an out-braking maneuver coming into turn 1, but Chadwick holding steadfast around the outside. On the outside, you get a slightly straighter exit, more momentum, but it seems that Flock has managed to get just as good, if not better, of an exit, gets squeezed all the way over to the right-hand side of the track, and oh, big contact there. Bit of a side swipe between Chadwick and Flock, and it's going to continue here into the hairpin. Chadwick goes wide. Being all the way over on the inside isn't always the best in that corner because it's so off camber. And this I don't know how this battle is going to end. Flock's going to have to be really assertive under brakes. Chadwick doing the right thing and giving Flock room for some side-by-side action, and it looks like that might just be the move completed.
Flock right on the limit there. You could see the 84 just squirming, just holding on into the braking zone. As you say, good awareness as well from Chadwick to give him room right the way through that battle that went for more than half a lap, actually. Great driving from both. But Flock there finally getting through. And that's allowed Dave Coleman just to break away a little bit. Of course, he was right involved in this battle. You can see him there at the bottom of the screen going through, though. And we're on the final lap, so it's going to be difficult, you would think, for Flock, unless there's a mistake, to make his way through. There's Barney waving that flag wildly. Let everyone know that it's the last lap of our first race this evening.
Yeah, so now it's crunch time for Blake Warboys as he has a look at the inside of Bo Albert here and squeezes up the inside into the hairpin. Look at that, side by side on the exit. And look at this. This is going to give a big advantage to Damien Johnstone. He's not going to have room to get alongside Warboys there. Might be able to sneak through. But oh no, he wasn't able to do that. Lap traffic of Pacey Clegg getting out of the way there. Johnstone still looks up the inside of Warboys as he goes for the move on Albert. And then there's contact there between Johnstone and Albert. Position lost for Bo on the final lap. Could it be 2 spots? He's going to have to hold the inside here and makes contact with Johnstone. Sends him wide. And that's going to be the end of that, unfortunately. Not many more opportunities to pull a move up the inside. But coming into the final couple of corners, he's led from the very start. Synergy 088 of James Scott. Wasn't here for round 1, but definitely made his presence known in round 2 and continuing that run here on round 3. First race winner of the night, James Scott, with Robbie Gibbs coming home in 2nd place. Hayden Sell managing to get his 952 car into 3rd spot. And looks like Jake Blackhall, with that 10th, will be starting on pole for race 2.
Yeah, great job there from all of the drivers in that top 10. Some fantastic battles. And you just see there as well, Sebastian Flock make up the gap on Dave Coleman. Not going to quite get him by the start-finish line there, but did manage to make up that gap after the battle with Chadwick. Oh, and there he goes round in front of us. So it was quite the battle throughout the field, but James Scott just got the race underway and took it to the bank, leading start to finish there.
That he did. 1.4 seconds was the gap in the end between James Scott and Robbie Gibbs. Sell another 3.5 seconds behind the leader, and there was a big gap back to that fight between Jones, McNamara, Warboys, and Albert. Johnstone probably won't be too happy with how the battle between he and Albert ended up, but Capel and Blackhall completing your top 10, take all of those drivers and invert them. That is your Race 2 top 10. And speaking of Race 2, we are jumping right into it. We are on the grid now for Race 2 as we check out the rest of our results. There's going to be a couple of minutes hold, so we have some time to go through the rest of these results. A couple of drivers jumping out here as having poor races thanks to that lap 1 incident, Stu.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just quickly run through the 11 onwards. Jordan Severus and Matt Morris, 11th and 12th. Then Dave Coleman and Sebastian Flock with Simon Chadwick out to 15th. That was a great battle we got to watch there. Ash Davis and Josh Schultz, 16th, 17th, with Chris Funky Miller in 18th. Ben Siren on 19th, and Craig Schultz rounding out the top 20, and a couple more of the 9.5 entries. And we flick a bit further back to Trent Gostley and Tim Nicol with Chris Tomlin and Shane Newans. Luke Crum, Simon Mazzomo, unfortunately in that lap 1 incident, into 26th. Kai Turner 27th, Dan Stevens 28th, Pacey Clegg 29th, and 30th was Hayden Veld with Rob Visser 31st.
Yeah, Visser got a mechanical black flag and ultimately had to retire from that, but this is your front row for Race 2, Jake Blackhall and Lachlan Cable. Evolution Racing Team and formerly of Evolution Racing Team. With John Stone starting alongside Albert, there'll be a little bit of unfinished business between these two starting off the second row, with Warboys starting alongside McNamara, and then we have Jones and Sell on the next row. Been a good round for 9.5 so far, and Robbie Gibbs and James Scott rounding out the top 10 there. The rest of the field are exactly as they finished in Race 1, and I'm thinking now, couple of drivers who'll be looking to get up the order and salvage something from tonight. Probably Daniel Stevens, because remember he qualified in 20th spot and ended up having to finish 28th after getting involved in that lap 1 crush. Sebastian Flock, though, might continue his momentum up through the field, and that number 84 you see there easily could get into the top 10 if his leap up in Race 1 is anything to go by. Just a few seconds left on the timer, and we can get things started for Race 2 here. Another 10 laps, a complete out-and-out sprint here at the Red Bull Ring. Here we go. We're getting going. The revs are rising. Blackhall on pole, Capel alongside him. Who gets the better start? We are away. And it looks like a bit too much wheel spin for Lachlan Cable getting off the line. He's going to be in trouble there. Albert's going to try and get alongside him, but dips to the inside, coming into turn 1. Easy does it on the exit. Is there going to be any chaos in the midfield here? Drivers giving each other a good amount of room. But we saw what happened in Race 1. It was all fine through the first couple of turns. When we got to the second hairpin, that is when it all kicked off. Blackhall leads coming into the hairpin. Damian Johnstone has made his way up into second, with Warboys up into third now. Lachlan Cable losing a few spots, getting down into fourth place. Bo Albert still holding on to P5, but he is really having to defend against Sean McNamara.
He got a good jump there at the start, Bo, but then just got swallowed up by everyone else. Just seemed to have gotten an even better start. As you said, Lachlan Capel just didn't quite get that second stage to work for him, so he's dropped down into fourth position with Albert behind him. And then we've got the train behind them already starting to form. Look at everyone get through here. It was pretty conservative on that first corner for everyone. We had 3 or 4 wide, but everyone giving plenty of room, which allowed them all to get through safely. Lap 1, Race 2. An inverted top 10 taking shape. You see here Lachlan Capel on screen with Bo Albert right behind him. Bo will be looking to try and get past where he can. He had a fight on his hands towards the end of Race 1. So we jump on board with James Scott, the SSRO 88, our Race 1 winner. He's just, how's he going to play this one out? He knows he's got the pace. He's got to execute the passes here, but keep the car in good enough condition to make his way right to the front to take out this one if he's going to do that.
Yeah, meanwhile, up the front, it looks like Blake Warboys trying to get past Johnstone, who goes defensive and locks up a little bit coming into the hairpin. But look at that outside run from Blake Warboys. Flatter track on the outside of that turn means it's often faster to go a little wide there. Look at how close the front of this field is. Blackhall in a fair bit of trouble here as Johnstone goes for the lead. Warboys flicks to the inside as well. Contact. Blackwell almost sent off the circuit there with Damien Johnstone getting into the side of him, but they all managed to keep it clean for the time being. So we now have a Synergy car leading once again, but it's not James Scott.
What a cluster that was. Able to get through. Bo Albert, probably the one who got the biggest advantage from it. He managed to switch lines and join on the pass through, so he's now up into 3. But have a look at this, 3 wide. This is lap 2, and we're 3 wide. It's the 88 we were talking about before. As we jump on board with Sabiris, who's not going to die wondering here. Down into Red Bull. Gets it up on that grass, sorry, down into Red Bull now. He's going to have to just squeeze through, and there's contact there.
That was a hefty whack into Sean McNamara, who gets back onto the circuit safely, but might have a bit of damage there. It's a reason why people don't usually go for passes at that corner. But Sabiris managing to escape with minimal damage as well. He's going to continue on from here, but who knows? The race control shadow might be falling over him soon. Behind him, Hayden Sell and Sebastian Flock fighting hard, with Blake Warboys now trying once again to make his way up here. That outside run is working out beautifully for the number 63. Albert on the inside of him here, though. Could this be a change for position between Blake Warboys and Bo Albert? Bo's boxed in a little bit, and Warboys has the racing line into the corner where the rubber is. That's where the most grip is, and it looks like Warboys will continue to defend this one coming into the Power Horse corner. But Johnstone locks up a little bit. That leaves the door open for Warboys. He does back it up a little bit, though. Isn't quite able to get alongside. This is a fantastic battle for the lead. What can Bo Albert do here to try and get past both of these guys? It seems that Warboys is nonplussed here. He's not quite able to get it done. Could this be a pass here, though, coming into Jochen Rindt? It will be. Warboys gets up the inside of Johnstone. That's a beautiful exit into the lead for the number 63.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic driving there from them all, and Warboys takes the lead of the race. Johnson there just managing to park the car in the middle of the track, but not being able to do enough to hold off Warboys. And here we go, Albert underneath him as well, down in to Lauder. Gets it done too, up on 2 wheels, uses a bit of the curb to help slow the car up, but gets that through. And Johnson there down into 3rd now. He's right on the bumper though, he's not going to let him go. And Lachlan Capel jogging on the spot even, and he's looking for try and get some space. Can he get it done? Down on the inside there, he pulls that up. Johnson as well, and Albert just manages to get the better drive out of the corner. And I think Cable here looking for a way around Johnson as well. He's going side to side. Johnson's going to go defensive, but gets it through. Capel will get the turn back here if he can. He's got his teammate right behind him. We're going to push him along. And the fight's on at the front. Blake Warboy's set out a little bit now. He's got a gap. But this battle is well and truly on.
Oh, that's a big oversteer moment there for Capel. And he's just holding on to the rear end of that Holden Commodore. Robbie Gibbs, though, 2nd place in race 1. He's going to have to just keep it nice and gentle here. It looks like we've had problems for Jai Schultz and Matt Morris further back in the field. They've both dropped spots, and not quite sure why, but I think it might have been a little off-track excursion. Morris getting past Jai Schultz, Ash Davis passing Chris Miller for 15th spot out on track. This is smack dab in the midfield, and it's looking like just as intense of a battle as the one up the front.
Yeah, unbelievable right throughout the track. Look at this here as we bring a replay up on screen. Just contact there, yeah, not enough room for him to get through there in the 666. No death tonight, but yeah, didn't quite make that one stick. As we return to the battle at the front, Robbie Gibbs now, sorry, my apologies, Blake Warboys now under attack from Bo Albert. So it looks like Trent Gosling and Chris Miller.
No.
Oh, there's a huge incident there. 5, 6, yeah, and people haven't seen it, and they've come flying through. That's into Lauder. And there is plenty of damage there. Try and unravel some of that for you if we can. Back at the front. In the meantime, Bo Albert putting the pressure all over Blake Warboys. Blake won't be phased though. He knows he's got good pace, as we saw in the execution of those passes. He got done. Let's have a look at the replay here and see if we can unpack this one.
Schultz and Gosley.
Oh, and across the track. Yeah.
Oh, yep. There was only one way that was going to go.
Not able to get it stopped through that gravel trap. As now we've got people driving around with parts of cars.
Oh,
wow.
Again, Hayden Veld.
Oh, that's a huge hit. Oh, that is a huge
that's
hit.
across the track. That's a dangerous spot for Craig Schultz to be in.
And
that's just created further chaos back in the field.
He hit that wall on the inside of the, on the outside of the track, my apologies, at some rate of knots as well. So drivers with that potential car damage too, and there it is there. So a little bit of a lose. Not sure what's going on there with, I think he's got steering damage in the 53.
Yeah.
Edenveld, and look at that. That is a huge hit. That car will be toast.
Yeah, as will quite a few others in that region of the field. We have Ben Siren, Kai Turner, Craig Schultz in the pits. Trent Gosley trying to... Oh my goodness, is that James Scott who's just gone massively deep into the hairpin there? All right, well, he's just given up the spot there to Jake Blackall. He's going to try and get it back here. Albert, Warboys, Johnstone and Capel are running away with this now, because whatever happened to James Scott there has just created a massive checkup for everyone behind, and now that is a race for fifth, sorry.
Race Control did issue a redress for the 93 with the 951 car for contact on lap 2. It's Jordan Sabiris, that move we saw, so there was consequence there for him. Not involved in this battle pack. Perhaps James Scott there as well. He needs to get on with it, because as you quite rightly pointed out, those at the front have broken away 3 seconds to the good ahead of this pack. You can see already he's on his way, opening up a gap to Blakehall, who has got some company here with Cam Jones on the inside, or outside of him, down into turn 4. 5. He gets it pulled up there, and just to make his way through for the drag race.
Cameron Jones there in the bright green machine was the one who caused that incident for James Scott at this very corner. A little bit too deep under brakes, got into the rear of Scott as he tried to turn in. Blackhall, meanwhile, defending as we see a black flag for Trent Gosley. Apparently that incident between Gosley and Schultz was for moving under brakes, and Gosley was deemed the driver at fault for that.
There you go. Live race control on the ball. So gonna have to serve that one. Again, this pack just starting to sort itself out now. A little bit of spread as well. The 97 coming out to dry here a little bit. Going to lose a spot to Sebastian Flock, who gets a little bit wide there. Gets the run down. See if the 97 of Jake Blackhall can get the job done. He's got company as well. So this one is still hot. Oh, struggling under brakes. Talking about being hot, too hot. And he goes right across. Get a point for that one. And he loses not only a point, but a few places in the process.
Yeah, 12th now for Jake Blackhall. He would have gotten a slowdown, I think, for going off there. And that is the onboard view of the incident between Gosley and Schultz. And yeah, at least from that split-second thing, you can see that Gosley did move a little under brakes there and maybe squeeze Schultz a bit. Take another look at it, though. So, yeah, pulls out, and yeah, Gosley moves to the right, but you could argue that Gosley was trying to avoid going into the back of the car in front.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a call, and it is what it is. So, essentially, on his way off the track either way, you might think. So, but Blake Warboys, somebody who's not on his way off the track, he has managed to resist Bo Albert to this point in time. 8.5 laps through, so he's doing a good job at the front. We saw the pace from him early on. Yeah, did a really good job. Yeah, continues to do so ahead of Albert, who's no slouch whatsoever. So yeah, post-race investigation for car 53. and the 654 as well.
Yeah, that was the big incident we saw a little earlier with Hayden Veld dealing with a bit of a janky car as Schultz was trying to come through.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. So we'll see how that gets addressed post-race. I think we might be able to predict what happens there. Damien Johnston as well as closing up on the back of this as well, while Warboys and Albert don't fight, but it's close. Jeez, that's really deep under brakes there for the 640th Dave Coleman. He would have had everything crossed there that he was going to be able to pull that up. Gets it done, no contact with the drivers around him. As this fight just continues. It's a swarm. There's no order to it. Floxell, Coleman, Blackhall, Severus and Chadwick all fighting for P9. And of course, our third race, not a reverse top 10. So this is just the out-and-out racing in this category. Great racing so far.
Yeah, certainly has been good racing, at least when it hasn't resulted in a big crash. With Coleman now defending from Jake Blackhall, trying to protect his position here in the top 10, rather in 11th spot. As the white flag flies for our leaders, the two Mustangs up at the front of the field here. It's Albert's last chance now to try and find a way past Blake Warboys, who immediately goes to the defensive line for the hairpin here. But you'd have to say, sticking it middle of the road is a good idea too. Forces Albert to go all the way to the outside, and it seems like Bo just isn't able to get the drive around the outside that Warboys was able to. And that will work things out between them for the time being. There's still a couple of opportunities for Blake to make a mistake and for Bo to find his way through. Look at how much Johnston has closed on them now. That Holden Commodore from Synergy Sim Racing being a proper threat for the win now. They just need to make sure that they get through these corners without incident. Albert a little bit more directly to the inside than Warboys, but the exit should be with the 63 here. He's got a clear track ahead of him. Doesn't have much to focus on other than just hitting his marks, and Albert with a big slide coming out of the corner as well. He's giving it absolutely everything in this pursuit of the win. 2 corners to go. This one isn't much of a passing opportunity, and neither is the final corner either. At this point, it looks like Warboys might just have it. Albert has one final look towards the inside, but it's not enough. Blake Warboys takes the win in race 2. It was the James Scott and Robbie Gibbs show for the first couple of rounds, but now Warboys can add his name to the AOG V8 Super Series winners list, and looks like that battle between Coleman and Blackhall will work out in Coleman's favour. Manages to get into the top 10 in the end. Looks like another driver in the midst of that battle had some issues.
Yeah, fantastic racing right throughout the field there. Blake Warboys did a tremendous job across that race to hold off a mountain of pressure from Bo Albert, so they will occupy the front row of the grid for our final race tonight. A good progress there for a number of the drivers who had tough race ones as well. So Simon Mazzomo up into 16th. He'll be looking to make progress from there in our final race. So plenty still to come here in our final race tonight. Let's have a look at the overall results. It was Warboys only a 10th at the end in front of Bo Albert. Damien Johnston closed in as well in 3rd position. Lachlan Capel in 4th, with James Scott taking out 5th position. Cameron Jones bringing it home in 6th with Robbie Gibbs behind him. Sean McNamara in 8th with Sebastian Flock in 9th, and Dave Coleman rounding out our top 10 finishers.
Indeed. 11th place was Jake Blackhall, who started on pole, and Jordan Severus is going to come home in 12th spot. Hayden Sell, I think, was the driver having issues at the end there. Unfortunately falling outside the top 10, and 13th for his troubles. Chadwick gains a position. Morris loses 3. Up 10 spots for Simon Mazzomo. Really good run there for the 954. with Chris Miller up into 17th spot. It's another 10-place gain for Daniel Stevens. He gets back into the top 20 after being unfortunately involved in the big race 1 crash, with Tim Nicol and Jai Schultz rounding out the top 20. Then we got Luke Crum and Christopher Tomlin leading the rear of the field, with Veld making it to the finish, albeit with a very damaged car. Newens, Visser, Davis and Clegg, along with Siren, Schultz and Gosley, also making it to the finish. Ash Davis also comes home. Kai Turner, the 1 retirement. These are the championship standings then coming out of those first 2 races, and it looks like Robbie Gibbs maintaining the championship lead there. Bo Albert, though, gets a little bit of an extra gap over Cameron Jones, and James Scott getting into the top 10 now. So he's rapidly rising up the order. If we add a drop round in, then things will certainly look a little bit more interesting in terms of James Scott's placing.
Quite the march towards September from James Scott. He's rapidly rising throughout the field. Let's see here how it looks with the drop round. At further 2 places up, Robbie Gibbs still in control, would you call it, with Bo Albert and Sebastian Flock top 3, but it's close. Flock, Capel, Jones covered by less than 15 points. And then Warboys, our race 2 winner, into 6th position. So plenty to play for. Lots of names running at the top there who are going to feature heavily towards the second half of this series. There was a post-race investigation as well for the 30 and the 408 for an incident at turn 4 on lap 5. So that was Kai Turner and the 30 of Luke Crum. So we'll see what comes out of that. There's a couple of penalties to be handed out here. So we're going to try and get a replay up here as well. The Wizard Jay just about to bring that up for us on screen. So the order could be jumbled up a little bit after that. And here we are. So this is the 408 that we want to keep our eye on. And this is that initial contact that caused the huge incident. So what happens here? So there's that contact. I didn't quite catch where Luke Crum was in that. There's the 30 on screen there. So he's got away with no damage. So that's an interesting request.
Oh, this might be it. Turner way too deep.
Turned in. Yeah.
So just a reaction to the incident and the damage. Turner trying to hold on to some spots there. Well, before we get into the 3rd and final race of the night here, that's where we are. Round 3. We go to Imola in 2 weeks' time. Then to Belle Isle, Oschersleben and Zolder to finish off the season. And we've had 3 circuits out of 3 so far that place quite an emphasis on straight line speed and slipstreaming. Imola, I think, will be much the same, at least down the front straight, but that entire back section of the circuit is never-ending corners. It's going to be interesting to see how the drivers tackle it.
Can't wait for it. It gets real juicy for me when we get to round 5 at Belle Isle, one of my favourite street circuits to race at and to broadcast from. So I'm really looking forward to the 7th of August. That is going to be a fantastic evening of racing on SimSpeed. Of course, basically a fortnightly series. Having a look here at those who have jumped in to the camera, to the chat. It looks like there's far too much fun being had there between Hayden Veld and Bo Albert. Sorry, my mind escapes me. Dan Yeaman there, race control on screen as well. He's having a busy night actually, so you can see him there frantically working away. Just having a look through, probably trying to sort out the order for the grid. Simon Mazzomo's feet have gone for a break, and it also looks like, as Dan gives us the nod there, and it also looks like Dan Stevens there, clinically still alive, according to his heartbeat monitor, which is an important point for us to make.
Indeed. We do want to make sure that everyone is continuing to subsist as a living being while racing in this series. And if anyone's curious about Simon Mazzomo's pedals, his hardware, he's got a set of Hosingveld Engineering Sprint pedals with Hybrid Racing Simulations pedal faces on that. Well, time to jump on in to the final race of the night. Blake Warboys will keep that first place there. There's no invert for this race. Bo Albert will start alongside him on the front row. In third place, Damien Johnstone starting alongside Lachlan Capel, with James Scott and Cameron Jones making up row number 3. Robbie Gibbs is going to start alongside Sean McNamara, and then we have Sebastian Flock and David Coleman rounding out the top 10.
Move our way back through the field. Jake Blakehall and Jordan Sabiris are going to be off the next row, with Hayden Sell and Simon Chadwick 13th and 14th. Then it's Matt Morris and Simon Mazzomo 15th and 16th. How far can Simon Mazzomo climb in this race, with Chris Miller looking to avoid the damage that he did in that race, and 18th is Daniel Stevens. And it's Tim Nicol and Jai Schultz 19th and 20th, with Luke Crum just jumping in and Chris Tomlin gridding up as well. Those teammates have started side by side every race so far tonight. Shane Newens, Rob Visser next on the order sheet, with Benjamin Siren and Pacey Clegg following them up. Hayden Veld, Craig Schultz, 9-5 boy wanting to make his way, Trent Gosley, Ash Davis, and then there's Kai Turner rounding out our 31 drivers for this race. Lachlan Cape will be hoping he can get away a little bit better this time around. He's got another chance here to make it good. James Scott as well. But Blake Warboys, Bo Albert, they'll resume their fight at the front of this field.
Yeah, look at this grid. Such a brilliant set of liveries and a brilliant set of drivers that have rocked up to this championship. It started off with some great hype in round 1, and it's only grown from there. Really awesome to have Monday night V8s back on SimSpeed in some form. But we'll have to wait and see who gets the best start and manages to come away with the win in race 3 here at the Red Bull Ring. Warboys on pole, Albert alongside, and we're away. And it looks to me like a pretty good start from both Warboys and Johnstone. Albert falling back. It looks like Scott is going to try and get around the outside of turn 1, but it's not going to work out. Bit of a crush in the midfield. Jake Blackhall gets turned by Jordan Saberis, and I think Sebastian Flock as well. That's really unfortunate for them, but this is going to be difficult coming into the hairpin. A bit more of a messy start here in race 3. It looks like James Scott has gotten by Bo Albert for 3rd. Oh dear.
So that was the start that you were predicting. There's more pile up here. Saberis, Newens, and Gosley all involved. Hayden Veld as well. Very similar to the incident we saw in race 2. There's another one there, the 4 of Trent Gosley, which is missing a whole heap of body panels, so that thing won't be very effective. He'll have to jump potentially into pit lane with a black flag. We'll have a look at that. There's also someone, I think it was Mazzomo, who might have jumped the start as well. We got contact on the grid, so we might see if we can go back and have a look at that too. But plenty of action before we've even completed a lap here in the feature race.
Yeah, real shame. It looks to me like that incident at the hairpin was triggered by some 3 wide action. Newens trying to go in between Saberis and Schultz, and unfortunately turning Saberis around. But the end of lap 1 is upon us, and Blake Warboys leads by a good margin over Damien Johnstone. 8 tenths is the gap, but Johnstone's gotten a slowdown penalty, and he had to let James Scott by for 2nd place, and Bo Albert looks to try and make his way through. That was a big whack on the rear bumper of Johnstone there. Looks to me like Albert might just have this with the inside line coming into the hairpin. It's also side by side between Capel and Jones behind, fighting over 5th and 6th. 2 by 2 they come into the hairpin, and Albert just about gets it done on Johnstone, parks it on the exit there, and forces Johnstone to back out of it.
Plenty of traction lots there in those 2 battles as well, but great driving from all of them to get through. No surprises given the quality involved in those manoeuvres, as the 33 here of Johnston looks to defend against Capel as well. Sean McNamara not going to die, wondering he's involved in this battle as well, with the 951 and the 019 of Cameron Jones. Have a look here at this incident. Yeah, there it is there. So someone just completely missed the lights.
That's Stevens.
Hardware failure, and it's caused version of the Royal Easter Show bumper cars there. So there'll be issues with that too, no doubt.
That's a shame there. I did notice that there were a couple of drivers who were slow to get away in the midfield, but I wouldn't have picked them to be Stevens and Mazzomo. That's really unfortunate, as it looks like that's Damien Johnstone coming into the pits. He jumped the start as well, unfortunately. He's earned himself a black flag. Dan Stevens will have to come in to serve a black flag for that jump start as well. So,
Johnson will be in trouble there as well. Sorry, Wes.
Go on.
I was just going to say, Johnson will be in trouble there as well for the pit entry. That won't comply at all. So no. He's going to be in a world of hurt once he gets to his pit box.
Well, the drivers up the front aren't worrying about that. James Scott wants another win here tonight. We get the onboard here from Johnstone. Let's see how much he jumps the start by. Oh, yeah. He got it going, but that was way too early. Unfortunately, that is a black flag instantly.
Looks like
as there goes.
Watching the lights in front of him rather than watching the lights that control the start, unfortunately, and that cost him.
Yeah, unfortunate for Johnstone, but fortunate for Scott. He's managed to find his way past Blake Warboys. Made that move coming into the hairpin, the second hairpin rather, and judging by James Scott's form, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to start pulling away here. Picked up the slipstream nicely on Warboys and saw the gap open to the inside. And up he went. Warboys trying to widen the entry to the corner as much as possible, but ultimately had to give Scott the place. It was all over and done by the time they got to the turn-in point.
Yeah, potentially wanting to save himself to fight another battle as well, Warboys. James Scott, one of the higher-rated iRacing drivers in the server. Bo Albert puts in the fastest lap there, 29.88. So plenty of battling going on throughout the field, 4 through 10 here. Having a look, the battle for 8th, 9th and 10th. And they move there down to Dave Coleman just a little bit further up the road there. We've got Chadwick, Sell, Flock, Matt Morris as well, battling away. So we have a look here at Hayden Veld.
Ooh.
No, potentially never really on that one. Always going to struggle to keep the back of that car on track.
Yeah, that's a shame. As oh no, that's further problems for Kai Turner. That seems to be a bit of a bogey corner for him here tonight. We've also gotten a race control decision. So Jordan Saberis deemed at fault for the contact lap 1, turn 1. He made contact with Flock, and ultimately that was what turned Jake Blackhall around. So Saberis has been given a drive-through penalty by race control for that one. Already carrying a bit of damage on the side of that 93 from getting turned around himself. This is another view of what happened. So Saberis all the way on the inside. That was very deep into the first corner, and then he gets into Flock, which ultimately spins around Jake Blackhall.
Yeah, he went deep and tried to get his way through there, copped that curbing on the inside, which pushed the car wide, and he had no control from there as a passenger. But too deep under brakes, 4 or 5 wide into turn 1 is never going to comply.
There's Robbie Gibbs trying to get round the outside of Sean McNamara at the hairpin. That's a big slide, though, in the mid-corner. And that brings Cameron Jones right into the battle. These guys fighting over 5th spot. Will Gibbs be able to make the move around the outside here? That's where the rubber is. But McNamara, with a more direct line to the inside, will likely stay ahead. Just by a little bit. Gets his rear end in front of Gibbs just in time, and they go line astern into the following left-handers.
Just not quite able to go through there as well. This pressure will maintain itself until the end of this lap. You'd figure turn 1 he might be trying to shape up Robbie Gibbs. Good run here. Gibbs just dropping a little bit off the track there, and you can see how much that slowed him up on the exit. He's defending here. He's got the better line into these corners, going to push him wide on the run into Red Bull. But there's no real move on. We saw attempts before there. That inner curve is just going to kill you. So he's got to focus here on the run up into turn 1. Getting a good drive out of that corner will help him. He's using the draft as Chadwick goes around.
Ooh, that's at the final corner.
Not in a good spot there to be slow, but he's on the inside of the track. And the car there going slow as well. That's potentially a slowdown for Sebastian Flock. Actually, that thing looks okay.
Might be redressing a position. I don't know what's going on here. Who did he turn around? Chadwick, potentially? He's getting back up to speed. Yeah, we see Chadwick coming up behind him, and we'll see what caused that in the first place. Flock trying up the inside of the penultimate corner just turned Chadwick around. Well, the position has been redressed, and Chadwick's still none too happy with how things transpired there, but they keep going. And, well, Sebastian Flock is now back with Jake Blackhall and Craig Schultz, who's trying around the outside of the number 97. The downhill, slightly off-camber nature of that corner means that, my goodness, it is very difficult to hold the outside there in a car that relies on mechanical grip more than downforce. That said, these cars do produce quite a bit of downforce. Not as much as the cars that usually race here, though.
No, and you can see he's just battling with that as well, the 97. So as we're back down here, that's our race leader at the bottom of the screen there. So they've broken away. Our top three is pretty stable, but Capel here with McNamara, Gibbs and Jones all trying to bear down on him. But the lap times here pretty identical. So Capel managing to maintain that gap. But you can see there, Jones on the back of Robbie Gibbs has a little bit of a look. And he ain't half-hearted though. Wasn't far enough up to be able to get that done. As he continues another lap, trying to find a way past Robbie Gibbs. It's been a good battle, this one. It's run the course of this race. As he has a look now down the inside. But that's not Gibbs. That is McNamara, who's going to lose a position to Gibbs. Whether or not Cameron Jones can make any benefit out of that remains to be seen.
Big fight behind too. Look at this. Trade for position between the 9-5 teammates. That is Ash Davis getting past Benjamin Siren, and Simon Chadwick finds his way in the midst of this fight too. Flock has managed to catch up to this trio in the midst of all of their fighting with each other.
I think one that Sebastian Flock will probably want to forget reasonably quickly. He's had a tough night tonight to make his way up the field a few times throughout the races. And shows you the quality of the field, how difficult it is to make your way back up through the pack once you've had an issue early on.
That's a good exit from Flock, though, coming out of the final corner. Check in with our leaders briefly. James Scott still leading the way, and the gap is now over a second to Blake Warboys. Good fight further on back. Hayden Sell getting up into P9. Puts Matt Morris down a place. And then the teammates of Luke Crum and Jai Schultz running very nicely in the midfield. Good solid drive from the both of them in this race. They started in the top 20 and just outside it, and now running 13th and 14th, so shout out to them. Another good fight here as well with Tim Nicol trying to get past Chris Miller, and wondering what kinds of lap times we're going to be seeing from these guys. Miller was slightly faster on the last lap, as that's another problem for Jordan Siberis. It's been an absolutely horrendous race 3 for Jordan, but he'll manage to get that back going as Mazzomo continues to plug away in 23rd place, making up the position there on the 408 of Kai Turner and Shane Newens, who was involved in that lap 1 turn 2 incident, trying to nurse his damage, number 73, to the end.
Plenty of damage there, just seeing as well. Yeah. A couple of incidents being investigated as well. We'll keep you up to date on those where we can. Oh, as he's outbraked himself there, has Robert Gibbs. So he's gone straight ahead. Did manage to get it pulled up. No damage to anyone else, but it's put him down behind Jones again. Just having a look here. Those tyres will be hot. I'll have to be careful into the braking zone here. Jones does well to defend. He tries to switch back and get the run. It worked too well for him. So, towards our final lap. So he'll be looking to try and position himself. There's still plenty of battles going on all the way through the field. But it is James Scott leading this one. 1.6 to the good over Blake Warboys. Contact and damage and all sorts of things going on in the background. And there is Marnie waving the flag. It will be the final lap. James Scott crosses the line to greet it. Blake Warboys goes through. Bo Albert. And then this battle between Capel, McNamara, Jones and Gibbs. Gives you a good idea there of the elevation change in the camber and the way that corner works. Everyone getting through nicely, using all the exit for the run. Down towards 2, 3 and then ultimately 4.
Yeah, good stuff from these drivers to keep themselves in this fight. Capel, though, with a bit of a slide on entry. That's going to allow McNamara through on the exit of the hairpin. And will he be able to defend from Jones? Gibbs is looking to try and make up spots as well. He'll be hoping that Capel makes life hard for Jones. It'll be an extra position and a few more points for Gibbs from this round. So close. They almost made contact there through the corner, but they both managed to keep it on the black stuff and a little bit of the red and white and green stuff as well, as that's a big move there by Jones. That is way too deep. With Lachlan Capel then gaining the position back, and that is Gibbs through into 6th spot. Goodness me. Last-ditch effort by Cameron Jones, but towards the finish line now comes James Scott. It's going to be 2 from 3 tonight in terms of wins for Synergy 088, and continuing his steady march up the championship order with another win on the books. Blake Warboys comes home in 2nd place, with Bo Albert in 3rd. Excellent stuff from all of our top 3. McNamara ultimately coming across the line in 4th spot here. One final replay. It's Craig Schultz and Jake Blackhall at the hairpin. What on earth has gone on here? Looks like Blackhall, unfortunately, getting on the power a little too hard. And around he went. Not a good round for Blackhall, all things considered. It was a very tough ask for him out there. Final moves for position here. That's Simon Mazzomo getting past Rob Visser. And that's going to be a change for 22nd spot. Oh boy. Well, got to say, Stu, James Scott making his presence known in this championship ever since he entered.
Yeah, it's never easy, but he made it look pretty easy tonight in the 1st and 3rd race. He just managed to manage his race in race 2 to avoid contact and damage. So he's delivered here, and Blake Warboys with a great drive, as well as Bo Albert, our top 3 drivers, well and truly earning their stripes across the 3 races this evening. Sean McNamara coming in 4th in the 951, with Lachlan Capel as well, doing well to result in 5th in that final race. Robbie Gibbs in 6th, with Cameron Jones 7th. Dave Coleman bringing it home in 8th, with Hayden Sell 9th, and Matt Morris rounding out the top 10 in the feature race tonight.
Yep, good performances from everyone in the top 10, with Tim Nicol coming home in 11th ahead of Jai Schultz, Chris Miller, Luke Crum and Ash Davis. Chadwick managed to beat Sebastian Flock to the line by a 10th of a second. Tomlin, Siren and Schultz will round out our top 20. In 21st place, Jake Blackhall. Unfortunately, it was a steady slide back from that race 2 pole position. Mazzomo fighting back into 22nd after a very rough race 3. Rob Visser, though, still gaining 1 spot out of it. Nice to see. With Kai Turner getting to the finish. That's a good turnaround from his retirement in race 2, with Shane Newens 2 spots down. Trent Gosley up 3. Pacey Clegg manages to get to the finish on the lead lap along with Jordan Siberis, but not by much. Dan Stevens a lap down, and unfortunately Damian Johnstone and Hayden Veld both retiring from this one, which is a real shame considering how much potential Johnstone had after his race to podium. Well, that's going to conclude the racing portion of the night's entertainment. And wow, another excellent round with, of course, plenty of chaos in the midst of it. These are the standings with no drop rounds, Stu. It looks like Robbie Gibbs continuing to extend it there over Bo Albert. But look how close it is now between Capel and Jones.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all going to compress. Of course, drop rounds to come out of this yet, but championship, but evenly poised, and of course with that variety coming in terms of the tracks ahead of us, it's going to play to the strengths of some of the drivers, you'd feel, with the way the championship is structured. So anything can happen from here on in. There's still plenty of opportunities as the drop rounds now taken out of it. Just show you how James Scott is making that charge as well, up into 6th after tonight's haul, but it is still Robbie Gibbs at the top, 98 points to the good over Bo Albert, with Blake Warboys after his performance tonight as well, 4 points adrift of 2nd place in 3rd. So plenty to play out here.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by Blake Warboys. That is a fantastic job that he has done tonight, getting his first win of the series on the board. And well, now we can move on into driver interviews to round out the night. First off, of course, James Scott is joining us in the commentary box from Synergy Sim Racing. Well, James, that is 2 from 3 there, and a top 5 as well in race 2. That round went pretty well for you, but you certainly had to work for it.
Yeah, obviously anytime there's a reverse grid or reverse, what was it, top 10 or something, it's always going to be a struggle. We try to stay out of carnage in the middle race. Obviously, with being the 3rd race, progressive grid, we sort of managed to do that. There was a lot of hip and shoulders going on, but yeah, just tried to make the most of it.
Yeah, it seemed the hip and shoulders was the order of the day at this track. Outbraking was the main order of the day, wasn't it? This track just has so much emphasis on the brakes.
Yeah, especially into turn 2, probably one of the best passing spots, and then down into turn, well, I think it's actually turn 3, but we'll call it turn 2. And then down the hill into turn 4 as well. It's a good 2 good passing spots there. Obviously hard on the brakes. So yeah, braking is getting some stability in the cars, obviously really important around here. Car didn't feel too bad tonight, but it was probably just slightly outside of the window, so we'll have to tune it up before a few other series race here.
Well, you get into the top 10 in the championship now with this round win on the books for you. I suppose that's going to set you up really well for the remainder of the season. We go to Imola next round. Is that a track that gels nicely with you?
Yeah, one of my favourite tracks on iRacing. Had some pretty good success there with a few Enduro Cup wins, Enduro wins, and things like that there. So yeah, no, great track. They did slightly ruin it with moving the off tracks, but I believe they've sort of tracked it a little bit, given us a bit more leniency, especially it's good in these cars. You can actually attack the curbs a bit, but yeah, no, should be good fun there.
Well, we hope to get another chance to chat to you after that round, James. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, obviously all the guys at SSR. We wouldn't be able to do it. They're working really well together, doing really awesome. Obviously our sponsors as well, wouldn't be able to do it without them. Watercraft Performance Center, Parramatta Isuzu, Dr. Epoxy, Too Easy Finance, Works Racing Components, DM Cinematography, and obviously all you guys putting on the broadcast and the guys behind the scenes running the series.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, James Scott, winner of the round here. And Stuart, I'll leave it to you to have a chat with Mr. Blake Warboys getting his first win of the season.
Yeah, Blake, you'll be no doubt, mate, sucking down some water after that intense race 2 and race 3. Congratulations on the win and some good battling throughout the night. How did you find having another V8 supercar, a V8 car? Sorry, my apologies, stuck right behind you for the majority of that second and third race?
Yeah, it was definitely good fun. Boys are always very respectful. But yeah, raced with the guys a lot now, so you sort of know when they're going to have a decent crack. So, and you know you're not going to get taken out unless it's accidental. So you can trust them that way, which is good. So just keep your eyes forward until you see that little flash in the mirror that there's someone coming up the inside. But yeah, good fun.
Definitely had the pace in race 2. You managed to find some, not alternative lines, but managed to find some aggressive lines to take and move your way up into the lead pretty quickly there in race 3. Just able to maintain things as well. With the track temp was okay tonight, but with braking and that difficult, how'd you go engineering, or what were you thinking when you were trying to engineer that pass through race 2?
Yeah, just the weather didn't seem to affect the setup too much. I was trying little things with the rear in between each race just to sort of see if I could tune it up, and the last race was definitely the best the car felt, so that's good. But yeah, just after doing quite a few races here now and, you know, watching the Formula 1 and all the other categories, you sort of know where you can place your car to get, if someone's covering, to get around the outside, if you sort of hug them a little bit or force them into a mistake. So yeah, it makes for some great racing, this track.
Oh, you did well, and Imola's up next. What are your expectations there?
Hopefully I do all right. I haven't had the best of runs there. It's yeah, I think the last time I raced there we blew an engine for Scops, so yeah, definitely not the best run, but we've had good pace in the past, so hopefully the few things we've learnt this year, we can carry that momentum and have another good round there.
It's fantastic to see you up at the pointy end of the field, mate. Congratulations on a very, very solid run this evening, and as always, is there anyone you'd like to thank for tonight?
Yeah, for sure. The whole team at WKMP Sim Sports, we're bringing on new guys and we're getting quicker and quicker, so it's great for everyone involved with the team. Wodonga Carts and Parts, Super Cheap Auto, Rebel Sports, BCF, Mac Pack, Pool Guys Adelaide, Barella Cabinets, A21 Coffee Beans, LGC Images, and Dave 37 Racing for all their support this year.
Fantastic to hear such a big list of sponsors, mate. Well done on a race 1 tonight and a good race run tonight as well.
Thank you, guys.
Well, good stuff there from Blake Warboys, and that's going to bring to an end proceedings for tonight. Of course, we come back in 2 weeks' time, Stu, for round 4 at Imola. This has always been a fantastic track for the V8s, and definitely expecting more of the same that we have come to see from this series when we go to Italy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic race at Imola to round out the first half of the season. Monday the 24th of July, we'll be back 7:50 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, or equivalent where we are around this great country of ours. Sim Speed TV, plenty on as well. If you are looking for your sim racing fix throughout the week, do subscribe to YouTube or Kick or wherever you watch your sim sports from, and you'll always find the team online with something good to see. Reese, great night of racing. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And echoing those sentiments from Stu, make sure that you subscribe to us on the socials. We're on Twitter, SimSpeed TV, or on Facebook, SimSpeed Esports Network. I'm Reese Gardner, Stu Brown with me in the comms box, and Jay Kennedy handling production behind the scenes. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.